Paul Melanson is going to talk about the Duke study.
That Duke study is a big study, a very important study. The industry has really, my first editorial I wrote, I don't do that. I never did that before. I open up the paper right after the Duke study was released, and what do I see in the paper but SWN, Tom Alexander's top man, one of the top men, is saying, "Good news, New Brunswickers, we have been vindicated." And what they were saying was, we've been vindicated because there has been no frack fluid found in any of these wells. Because there was a lot of controversy about the frack fluid going up into the wells. There's been no proven, by the way.
It hasn't had time to migrate there.
Yeah, well, if you watch Gasland, that's a questionable thing, and I think you should all watch Gasland, by the way. Anyway, I read this. I said, what is he talking about? This is not a vindication of the industry. This is condemning the industry. Right? Because the study says water wells near gas wells have high levels of methane. How the hell is that, pardon my language, a vindication? That's a condemnation. Right? Anyway, so I've been writing editorials ever since. I just got going. I can't stop writing. Anyway, thank you.
My name is Maxime Daigle. I'm from Pointe-Sapin, New Brunswick. I worked in the industry for close to 7 years. I started working in British Columbia, Alberta, Saskatchewan. I drilled a hole just outside of Moncton in Lakeville. I've also worked in the industry in Oklahoma, Texas, Kansas, and Louisiana. Back in January, I heard on the radio that there was going to be an open house for oil and gas companies in Sussex. And when I was working in the industry, I knew that eventually they were going to come over here and try to do exploration, because previously I had seen on paper that geologists had shown there was a big deposit of natural gas underneath the Maritimes that was pushing off from Sable Island. So I knew it was eventually going to bring up here. Anyways, back in January, I figured I'd go and check out where they were at with the industry. When I got there, there was basically an open house with different booths, different oil companies and whatnot, government officials. The day before, I had prepared a speech. Figured it would be like an open mic where people can voice their concerns. When I got there, I didn't get the chance to voice my concerns of technical aspects of the industry. I basically, when I saw that map behind me, I got very angry. If you look at the map, it's all gridded and there's a number on it. And when I looked at the red leased area, all the different colors represent different companies. There was 9 companies back then. There's 8 companies that's got land leased in New Brunswick so far. The big red one is SWN, Southwestern Energy. So when I looked at that, I saw it was all gridded, and I saw it was all around the Cushawak National Park and right close to my home. And knowing that aquifers run all across the province, and nobody really knows where it's all connected. Like I said, I got very angry. And I started questioning the oil and gas PRs at the location and government. And these people, most of them haven't worked in the industry. Tom Alexander from SWN has worked for Schlumberger. He's got some technical experience. And after a half hour of talking with him, the only excuse he could give me that the investors would not invest in them if it wasn't safe. And he could not overturn any technical questions I was giving him. I was trying to be passive and not to be too pushy, but he couldn't overturn them. So that's where I basically started my campaign, with CCNB to try to inform people on the technical side that you cannot oversee with regulation how the soil is going to react while you're drilling to it and while you're exerting pressure on it. People keep saying that with proper regulation, if we take our time, that you will oversee these risks, but you won't. From my technical experience throughout the years, you can't oversee that. So next slide, please. The nice pictures you always see on slides, if you go watch different views or whatnot, you'll see that the formation is always nicely layered, okay? And the gas, the formation, the way they enter with the pipe is always straight down and right in the middle of that formation, that geological formation, as what they're looking into going in is shale in New Brunswick here. You can't always guarantee you're going to be right in the middle of that zone, and the formation of the soil is not always perfectly like this all the way. It's going to be, you know, formed in different ways. So we got a geologist on site, and we try to, he looks at a microscope, we bring him a sample of cuttings, the drilling cuttings, and he looks at the rock formation we're in, and we try to guess approximately when to start kicking off from vertical to going horizontal, to try to get the best angle of direction going towards in the zone, so you can get more pipe in the zone. So therefore, when you go to do your well, to do hydraulic fracturing, to extract the gas from there, you have that much pipe in there. Instead of just having, if you have a hard time to bend the pipe, and all of a sudden you have this one, with that drag, you're going to have a harder time to put as much pipe inside. Okay? Now, as you're drilling, we use a lot of different drilling fluids. The three basic ones are gel chem, lots of chemicals in that also, acids and whatnot, detergents. The other big one is invert, which is basically diesel, with a lot of chemicals mixed in it. If you want to come and have a look later on, I got a pair of boots in the front, and I went on a job site, and we were using invert, and not knowing, normally when we drill with invert, we wear rubber boots. And the boots that I had there were not protected for invert. And after 24 hours, it ate, 12 hours of working a 12-hour shift, it ate all underneath of the boots for 12 hours. That's one of the other drilling fluid, and the other one is silicate, which is basically allowed to drill with, but nobody ever speaks of when we use it, because it's very, very bad stuff, very corrosive. The thing is that when you're drilling down, you go through the formations. We pump a fluid inside the drilling pipe, and when we do so, the reason that drilling fluid is there is to basically bring back the cuttings back to surface, because the drill bit, the drill string is basically turning as we're going down from 0 meters to what they're looking at to going into in New Brunswick here is 2,000 to 2,500 meters, 2,800 meters. So that fluid pump inside that pipe that comes at the end of the drilling bit brings back those cuttings back to surface. Now, by doing so, you have natural fractures and caverns underneath there. And one of the reasons you do seismic testing is to oversee fault lines and to see where there's potential better chance of hitting gas later on. But there's always going to be natural fractures in there, in the soil formations as you're going down. As you're going down, you're exerting pressure on there, a hydraulic pressure, and some weight. So as you're drilling down, you cannot oversee with regulation gallons of water for each frac, and it's been recorded previously that you can go up to 18 times to frac one well. And you don't always have it your way when you fracture it. That is going to be economical, where you need to go in and refracture. You know, all that fluid, all that water, where's that going to come from? And if we're going to build facilities to handle that wastewater, who's going to pay for that?
Hi there, my name is Jim Thompson. I live up in Saint Charles, and I graduated from Bonnelaw in 1979. And like I said, Debbie said, I headed west to make my fame and fortune, and worked in Banff for the summer, had a great time. Ended up working oil exploration, seismic, up in northern Alberta, northern British Columbia. And I was working for a company. The crew I was working on was a blasting crew, and the blasting crew was set of tamper trucks. They used dynamite in the holes. And at the time, our holes were roughly about 60 feet deep in the ground, whatever that was under the ground. And these geophones were really sensitive that even the idling of a truck beside them, it would be picked up by these geophones. So we usually had to shut our vehicles off when we were doing the blasting. But my main story is when we were outside, we were doing our blasting, we were doing our day's work, and when we went through this farmer's yard, his back field, I could see his barn and I could see his house and the silos and that. And, you know, I was 19, 20 years old, like, you know, whatever, it's a great job, I'm outside making money and they're feeding me. And so when we set off our charges and we went back to pick up our equipment, this farmer come out and he was quite pissed off. He was literally ready to tear our heads off.
Upset, Jim.
Oh yeah,
He was
upset.
quite upset.
Quite upset, all right. The CBC French, he said that j'avais reçu la colère d'un fermier. So I got the wrath of the farmer. And anyway, what happened is when we set our charges off, we collapsed the well in his barn and the well in the house. So he no longer had any water on his farm. And that can happen anywhere, because in Atlantic Canada here, I don't know, most of you all live rural areas, and you know that our wells are anywhere from 20 feet to nowadays they're drilling between 150 or 200 feet. But the older places, our wells are anywhere between 20, maybe 50 feet deep, and a lot of them are hand dug. So they're using the tamper trucks along the roadways, but if they get off the roadways, they're going to be using dynamite. And I was reading up, and they were saying that the dynamite charges nowadays between 12 to 15 feet. So that's 45 feet in the ground. And our wells are in the 45 feet area in the ground. So, and there's no way of telling whether or not, once the charges go off, what's going to happen underground. There's no way. Like, if you know, if we could know what we're doing, then we'd be making money at it. But there's no way to understand what's going on underground. And like Maxime said, as soon as it goes down, it's, where's it going? Nobody knows. So basically that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. But there's this was just a seismic end of things. That's what they're doing in Kent County right now. It's just a seismic end of things. And we screwed up a farmer's well. And when I was in Rogersville, Tom Alexander said, there's no way, this is impossible. I've been in the business 31 years and it's never happened. Well, I said, I've done it, I've seen it, I know it does happen. So who do I hold accountable when you people go by and you ruin my well?